Let me hit you with a question that'll expose more truth than a blood test. If I dumped you in the garage right now with nothing but a sandbag, could you actually build strength that matters? Not the kind that you show off in a mirror, not the I lift on machines so my spine doesn't get offended strength. I'm talking about raw, ugly, transferable strength, the kind that keeps you capable when life punches you in the throat. Most people are only strong under perfect conditions. Perfect equipment, perfect angles, perfect temperature, perfect playlists that they swear adds 15% to their PR. But strength built only in perfect environments is not strength. It's dependency dressed as discipline. So the moment life gets chaotic, weight shifts, footing slips, demands spike, they fold like a lawn chair at a discount barbecue. And that's why today we're going back to the basics, back to chaos, back to sandbags. One of the great things I love talking about on this channel. The least glamorous, least forgiving, most brutally honest tool in the strength world. Because you don't train for aesthetics, you train for survival. And sandbags build bodies that don't break. So before we break down the 5 movements, let me tell you exactly why I teach this stuff, because you don't deserve more than a list of exercises and some dramatic thumbnails. I make these videos because most people aren't missing effort. They're missing a compass. They're drowned in fitness noise, random routines, random influencers, random S-tier chest exercises ranked like they're drafting Pokemon for hypertrophy. But none of that tells you a damn thing about the direction you should go. Strength, endurance, durability, metabolic resilience, every path demands different sacrifices and builds different capabilities. You should understand those trade offs so you aren't blindly copying someone else's goals and wondering why it is not working. My job isn't to hand you the best exercises, my job is to hand you options, explain the consequences. My job is to hand you option, explain the consequences, show you the physiology behind why something works or doesn't, and help you steer your own development. This is about sovereignty. This is about self coaching. It's about giving you the tools to choose a direction that aligns with who you want to become. So I'm here to inspire you to feel inspired, to pursue your passions with perseverance, and to give you the knowledge to do it with your own terms. Now, let's get into the sandbag movements every athlete should have in their arsenal if they actually want to build a body that can actually take a hit, deliver force, move under chaos, and age without falling apart like IKEA furniture. Let's start with the most honest hip extension you'll ever perform, the sandbag clean. This is not a pristine ballet like Olympic clean your local weightlifting purist would write love poems about. The sandbag clean is the opposite. It's violent, awkward, unpredictable, profoundly real. Because here's some physiology we'll never sugarcoat. Your nervous system loves chaos. It adapts to instability way faster than it adapts to perfect patterns. When you rip a sandbag off the ground, you're asking your body to respond to a shifting load distribution, irregular leverage, and unpredictable force angles. That's gold. That's your cerebellum lights up like it's trying to impress someone. In plain English, it makes you coordinated without having to practice being coordinated. The sandbag clean demands full body recruitment. The posterior chain fires to drive that hip extension. Your lats clamp down to control the bag's movement. The trunk contracts reflexively to keep you from folding. The grip gets roasted because the bag fights back. That's strength in the real world, non-linear, messy, reactive. The kind your body needs if you want to sprint faster, hit harder, lift heavier, or actually carry something heavier than your emotional baggage. And now that your nervous system is fully awake and questioning your life choices, let's move on to a pattern that builds a torso like a biological vault. So if your sandbag cleans wake up the nervous system, Zercher squats test your soul. Holding a sandbag in the crook of your arms turns your squat into a brutally honest physics lesson. No perfect bar path, no hiding weak mechanics, no cheating with a forward lean. Just you, the weight, and your ability to stay upright like a functioning human. Zercher loading forces co-contraction across the entire trunk. Your multifundus, your QL, your obliques, your TVA, your diaphragm, even the small spinal stabilizers that textbooks ignore but your chiropractor loves charging you for. This position builds what's known as reflexive stiffness, the body's automatic bracing response that prevents you from collapsing when external load tries to fold you into a human pretzel. From a molecular standpoint, you're reinforcing cross-bridging efficiency under load while training the fascial network to transmort. From a molecular standpoint, you're reinforcing cross-bridging efficiency under load while training the fascial network to transmit force more effectively through irregular vectors. Translation, you stop being a noodle when you're tired. Then comes the Zercher carry, the part that makes your heart rate and self-esteem spike simultaneously. Walking with the bag forces full body stabilization with every step, mirroring the exact demands of real life strength. Athletes really need this because sports are never symmetrical, force never arrives politely, and nobody cares how strong your squat is under perfect circumstances. But now that your spine has filed an HR complaint, let's talk at the upper body with a movement that builds savage, asymmetrical power. Most people train their soldiers like they're sculpting Greek statues. Balanced reps equals loading, nice symmetry. That's fine if your goal is to look good while doing absolutely nothing really useful. But athletes, real athletes, need asymmetrical loading. Hoisting a sandbag onto your shoulders creates instant chaos. Your obliques fire like alarm bells. Your QL tightens to prevent chaos. Your scapular stabilizers scramble into action. Your trunk rotates just enough to stay alive. The movement loads you into the same patterns you face when sprinting, cutting, wrestling, tacking, picking up your kid, carrying groceries, or dragging a friend out of a dumb situation. We've always been there at 2 a.m. at the bar. From a physiological perspective, sandbag shouldering enhances transverse plane loading, dynamic spinal stability, real life force transmission, and reflexive trunk bracing. If you add the press, shoulder to over, now your rotator cuff and midline fire together under asymmetric conditions. That builds bulletproof shoulders, not fragile, I only press on cables because machines love me shoulders. And now that your trunk is lit up like every other angle, it's time to talk about the most primal movement humans ever mastered, the carry. I love the bear hug carry. Loaded carries are the mitochondria's worst nightmare and your evolution's best friend. We evolved as carriers, carrying water, carrying tools, carrying animals, carrying each other. Our physiology is literally designed to carry shit. A sandbag carry recruits every muscle in your trunk, every stabilizer in your hips, every fiber in your traps, your grip, your lungs, your willpower. From a metabolic standpoint, you're forcing a hybrid energy system demand. Aerobic and anaerobic calls happen simultaneously. Your ventilatory threshold gets hammered, your heart rate climbs, your nervous system fights to maintain posture. And here's the part your barbell won't tell you. Carrying is honest. You either can or you can't. You can't ego lift a carry. There's no balance. You can't ego lift a carry. There's no balance, no momentum, no leverage trickery. You just walking under load. And this is exactly why every athlete needs loaded carries. They build a kind of condition that translate into sprint finishes, late game power, and real world capability. And now we arrive at the final piece, the movement that anchors everything from running speed to lifting power. The deadlift is hip extension, and hip extension is the engine of athletic performance. But a barbell gives you perfect grip, perfect balance, perfect geometry. A sandbag gives you none of that. When you deadlift a sandbag, the weight shifts, your grip fails early, your hinge cable stabilizers fire harder, your trunk engages reflexively, and your posterior chain has to work overtime. From a muscle physiology standpoint, you're reinforcing firing efficiency in the type 2X fibers while simultaneously training isometric stabilization in spinal extensors, something barbells never stress at this intensity. The kind where object resists you. This is real world lifting, the kind where the object resists you, where load changes position without permission, where your nervous system learns to stabilize under dynamic tension instead of rehearsed patterns. This deadlift makes you stronger in every direction, not just barbell proof one. Now, let's pull everything together because sandbags aren't just movements, they're a philosophy of capability. Sandbags are not popular. They don't photograph well, they don't look impressive on camera, they definitely don't give you a sponsorship by anyone who sells chrome plated machines. But they train you in the purest form. Force production under chaos. Durability is not built with perfect conditions. It's built when the challenge is unpredictable, unstable, and uncomfortable. A sandbag is a perfect tool for this because it shifts, it slips, it pulls away, it fights your leverage, it exposes your weak positions. From your fascia to your tendon, collagen, cross-linking to your motor unit firing patterns. Sandbags reshape your body into something more capable, more adaptable, more durable. They train the system and not the vanity. They teach you the difference between training for aesthetics and training for survival, and survival always wins. If you want to look strong under perfect lighting and influencer filtering, use whatever equipment you want. If you want to be strong when it actually counts, when you're tired, when you're stressed, when life is cooperative, train with some sandbags. You can train the clean, the zercher, the shoulder, the carry, the deadlifts, whatever you want. Train the movements that build your body so it doesn't break. Direction matters, choices matters, and you get to decide which path you walk.